Hello, I'm Fiona Sipkin, a producer and the host of the talk show The Bridge for Women Worldwide. Today, I'm hosting the new episode of The Bridge. Welcome. Its title is Liberal versus Conservative, Why Political Tolerance is Essential for Women. And this is part of our series, Women Contributing to the Beauty of the World. The guest for today's show is Tatiana Fettelmeister, a licensed clinical professional counselor, also a founder and principal of Connecting Differences. She is from Chicago, Illinois, originally from Moscow, Russia. Let me say a few words about our show. The Bridge for Women Worldwide was founded like half a year ago, and I rooted it in my HuffPost blogs and the recent book, How They Made It in America, Success Stories and Strategies of Immigrant Women, from Isabella Allende to Ivana Trump to fashion designer Judy Natori, plus more. And today I have a distinct honor to present Tatiana Fettelmeister, who I met 17 years ago at the conference of CETA USA, that is Society for Intercultural Education, Training and Research. She was the president and the board member there for 7 years. Today, Tatiana is a Russian-speaking American, and she is an all-around achiever in her own right. Welcome to our show, Tatiana.
Thank you, Fiona, and thank you for a very nice introduction.
Well, the introduction is just coming. I would love to introduce you properly here at the break.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tatiana Fettelmeister, as I said, is a licensed clinical professional counselor, a founder and principal of Connecting Differences, a consulting company providing intercultural and D&I services. She became a part of American diversity when she came to the United States as a refugee from the former Soviet Union. Today, with her 2 master's degrees in journalism and counseling, Tatiana is known for her sharp wit, her broad-mindedness, and for her ability to help people harmonize their complex identities and belonging issues. By doing this harmonization work for years, Tatiana continuously contributes to the beauty of the world. That's how I see it. Welcome to our show, Tatiana, again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fiona. It is indeed a very nice introduction.
Sure. Let us start with a question directly related to our talk show title, the deep divide between liberal versus conservative outlooks, including Democratic versus GOP, has always existed, always, and always. However, it got even worse under the previous president to include intolerance towards immigrants at large, as well as condescending approach to women. Why then, Tatiana, do we see so many immigrant women supporting and endorsing Trumpism? Wasn't it against their own interests?
It is such a complicated question. I think that America as a country is trying to figure itself out along those divisive lines. And definitely those of us who come here and join American story, bringing our own stories into it, find ourselves in a really challenging place of trying to figure things out, yeah? As an immigrant, when you come anywhere, you kind of step into the country as if this is the way it is, yeah, on your day of arrival. It takes much longer to really learn and understand its history and its complexity. and everything that comes with it. It is also important to recognize that by the time we actually have something to say about it, by the time we come to elections,
Right.
we are not immigrants anymore. Yeah, we are naturalized citizens. Immigrants don't vote, naturalized citizens do.
Right.
And for different people, it takes different time. So what kind of influences you've had over time of being here can vary. Have you been engaged with predominantly your own community, as some people stay very much inside of their own community?
Right.
Have you been engaging with the community at large? Have you been focusing on more of a survival needs, because depending on what the economic situation is for people, what the the ability to join the economy, for example, do they speak or do they not speak English, can make a big difference. So there are all kinds of components that go into it.
Yeah.
Including what kind of a history do you bring with yourself? Like, for example, you and I come from the same country, from the Soviet Union.
Right.
We come from the history of the Soviet Union. And that's how, for example, it's not uncommon for many others who came from the same place, when they hear the word socialism, to be immediately kind of stirred up and immediately against it.
Of course.
Yeah, without necessarily looking further into what kind of elements of socialism are we dealing with, are we sometimes maybe benefiting from. Yeah. For example, is support for elderly people that comes from the government, is it the social elements of socialism or not? You know, what about other things? So in this last election, it was very clear that there were many people for whom kind of single issue voting was important. And if you're frightened of socialism, you would not vote for Democrats. If you are frightened by immigration altogether, and that's very easy button to push, you know, they come to take our jobs kind of button, you will be not voting for Democrats. So there are different buttons that are being pushed. I just recently saw a research that was not specifically about immigrants, but it was specifically about, you know, gender. That said that people who have a strong preference for male hegemony, yeah, that or more patriarchal way of looking at the world, both men and women with that mindset were more likely to vote for Trump in the last elections, for example, than for Biden. But also the interesting thing about specifically women and immigration is that for many women who come from traditional cultures, coming to the United States often becomes a way to rethink themselves. And to make choices that are different from what tradition requires. I remember talking to a young woman from Somalia years ago, and she said, in my culture, man is not supposed to put his foot in the kitchen. And then she said, when I have a son, I will put both of his feet in the kitchen. So definitely is the young woman who, when it comes to being eligible to vote and making her choices, would not necessarily be voting in the same way as, let's say, her mother-in-law would. Yeah, with the sense of what tradition means.
Right.
So overall, when we talk about what is liberal and what is conservative, conservative is more focused on this is the way things have been, this is the way things should be, more traditional kind of approach. And liberal is more, let's try something, let's liberate ourselves from whatever the traditional way is. And how we orient ourselves along these two lines as immigrant women depends on all kinds of factors.
I see. I see. So yeah, one voter, one issue voter. It's important to keep the liberal or conservative side. Thank you so much for explaining. Now let us see, Tatiana, how American womankind in general. Why are they so adamant about our former president, despite his flaws? Well, some people I know are jokingly saying that women are following their own logic, and this logic leads them to defend and love certain men with certain features and just forgive and forget and overlook everything like that. Is this the case?
I think it's a very complicated case, and all kinds of experts, I think, will be studying this last 4 or 5 years for a long time. I think that something that Trump has been exceptionally good at is triggering just the right emotional responses. Yeah.
Yes.
Using fear a lot, using flattery a lot,
Right.
Approaching people who felt that they fell behind, that they've been marginalized in the culture, that they are not necessarily recognized, giving them a sense of, come to me, I'll take you under my wing.
Right.
There is something that was very interesting that came out, I think, in 2012, and we maybe didn't pay enough attention to it. And that is American Value Survey that is done by Pew Research every 25 years or so. So the latest one was in 2012.
Okay.
And they ask people to respond to all kind of statements, and they take demographic information and then they kind of correlate it. Yeah. And so one of the statements in the survey was something like, nothing much in my life depends on me. Yeah. Classic external locus of control statement. Traditionally, you would expect that in the United States, people will disagree with it and say, no, we're a culture where we are in control of our destiny. What they found was that the more people could have reliable income, and the more people had in terms of education, the more likely they would say, no, I don't agree. I have a good amount of control of my destiny. But people with low levels of income and people with low levels of education would say, yeah, absolutely, my life is not up to me.
Yes.
How do you intersect it with the sense of American dream? Yeah, I'm supposed to have an American dream and I can't get there because of this and that, and my kind of the manufacturing moved away, whatever else happened, and I can't now support my family. So Trump came with the promise of American dream.
Yeah.
We will not let strangers in. We will only focus on you. We will build your dream. And that, for many people, really kind of energized them.
Spoke to them, men or women. They responded alike. That's what you're saying, right? And they forgot and forgave everything else, every other undesirable behavior because of this issue, right? That they
Uh,
loved that.
yeah, yeah, and also, if you buy into methodology of a strong man, something
Uh-huh.
that Democrats would talk about as more of the not only Democrats, but people
Oh,
who
yeah,
don't
yeah,
buy
yeah.
into it would speak about something like toxic masculinity.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
if you don't look at it as toxic masculinity, but you look at it as boys will be boys and the
Yeah,
strong
yeah,
man,
yeah.
it's easy to buy into it as well, being a
It
woman.
is. It
Mhm.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. Yeah, it's easy to buy into it as a low-hanging fruit. So it went well. Well, Tatiana, you live in the States for about 32 years now, and you came from the former Soviet Union, where people survived the Stalin personality cult and are in general accustomed to the strong man on top to an authoritarian man on top. Now, here from two questions. One, when you came to America, who explained America to you? And question two, what features of your cultural heritage and upbringing helped shape your liberal leaning or conservative leaning, whichever the case may be?
Who explains America to us? It's a great question. And quite honestly, nobody did. Nobody did in like one sitting. Here is everything you need to understand about America. Uh, Often, as an immigrant or refugee or any kind of a newcomer, you kind of uh, start making sense of it as you are observing people's behaviors, as you engage in different conversations. And that's how, for many people, especially for people who don't speak English when they come in,
Uh-huh.
people who are limited in terms of their sources of information because of that, whoever sounds like they know what they're talking about
Yeah.
becomes your source of knowledge. Yeah. I worked for many years with refugees from different places, and for many of them, I was a part of explaining America to them. Yeah. And I
Uh-huh.
was very careful in making sure that I give as much of a variety of, this can be looked at it this way and this can be looked at it this way as I possibly could, because I believe in that, you learn information and you make up your own mind.
Yeah.
But if somebody is exposed to this is the way it is, and this is how you should understand it, and within communities, if there is a predominant way to see
Yeah.
something within the community, it's
Communities.
harder it's harder to stand up to it. Like, for example, and I know that among Russian speaking Americans, yeah, more
Uh-huh.
people choose a more conservative kind of way of looking at politics. So when you say,
Yes.
wait a minute, that's not the way I see it, the very first thing you get is very surprised, like, how can you not? Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
communities have this expectation. But I think that for me personally,
Uh-huh.
I have always been um, interested in understanding differences between people, in understanding different points of view, in choosing my own based on the information I get and not based on what somebody tells me. And as you rightfully so said, coming from the country that had a very tragic experience with cult of personality, I am
Right.
always very cautious when people get overboard in just, pursuing one person as if this one person has all the answers for all of their prayers. It's not surprising, for example, that one of the biggest experts on these issues that has been writing and speaking to Americans a lot about it is Masha Gessen, who is a journalist, bicultural journalist who also comes from Russian background. I think that what I love about America, what I cherish about America, and what I believe in, and what I am not seeing as much as I want to lately, and that is the sense that you and I can have opposite opinions.
Oh, yeah.
And we can argue till we turn blue to kind of support our opinions. But more important than our own opinions is our ability to protect the other's right to have their opinion.
Yeah. Freedom.
Freedom, and the understanding that freedom of opinion, freedom of choice means the freedom of choice that is not like mine, and freedom of an opinion that is not like mine.
Literally live and let live.
Yeah, and what we've experienced in these last elections, from my perspective and from many other people's perspective, is that our freedom to choose what we wanted to choose, our freedom to vote for President Biden was not believed, as it cannot be. If it goes democratic way, it must have been a stolen election. I also can very much understand how somebody who is looking from Republican side can say, but you don't see what I see, let's talk about it. What I think is the huge problem, and that concerns me as a mental health professional and as an interculturalist and just as a person, is how much of our opinions are based today not on the solid information, not on the solid facts, but on emotionally charged misinformation that has been around in scores. And in this game, outright, and with it, Republican Party is definitely winning in terms of the amount of misinformation that is being put out there. And that, I think, is just hugely dangerous. And it's even harder for people who come from other countries who are trying to make sense of their surroundings to figure out what is and what isn't real. So it's even more complicated right now.
Thank you for explaining that, Tatiana. It speaks to me a lot, although I came from Ukraine. And I do understand that advancing liberal conservative tolerance will be a Herculean effort in our day and time. Now, do you think that women, as probably the most sensitive demographic, are best positioned to help unite the nation, to help bring together conservative and liberal opinions?
I think that women are so different and so diverse in their ways that we can be most instrumental at bringing things together as well as tearing them apart. What I think can be a really interesting way of having these conversations is women to women, figuring out and starting with, something that unites us as women is our concern about the future, our concern about our children, our concern about all kinds of things that women generally are focused on in their lives. And having these conversations will definitely be useful. One of the things that I think we need to recognize and give us a big plus as women, if you look at how different countries are handling pandemic right now, countries that are led by women seem to be doing better, like New Zealand.
I don't know. Is it surprising? Is it not surprising? Not surprising.
There is something about female leadership in the time of pandemic that I think also at some point will be studied. And one thing that I want to say that is so important for me in terms of the whole conversation about tolerance, it is one of those words that we use a lot and don't necessarily ask ourselves what exactly that means. Tolerating each other is a very questionable idea. If I tolerate you and you tolerate me, it means that if we absolutely have to be in the same room for a few minutes, we can do it. But the sooner we get out of there, the better we feel.
Well, it's better than the night fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what I would like to suggest is the way that I've been kind of interpreting tolerance in my work. And that is tolerance as my ability to tolerate myself, to tolerate my own discomfort and my own fear or my own boredom or whatever it is that comes when I engage with somebody who is different from me. Can I stay there long enough? Can you stay there long enough so that we will get over the emotionally charged garbage and misinformation and all that, and get to the root of what it is that we are concerned about, what's important for us, and really see how can we make sense of things for ourselves and not for whoever is putting all this kind of information into our heads. That's an important work that I think we all need to
do. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I agree that tolerance supports stability, and then stability supports economic prosperity. So it's for all of us. It seems like a no-brainer, a very simple issue. And I hope that women will buy into it, God willing. Now, let us turn now to some practical issues of how to advance tolerance and all the better things that we have. First of all, I want to say that I love this picture of yours. Second of all, I love the name of your company. Linguistically, it's a brilliant name. It's motivated, it's self-explaining, and I love it. So could you please comment on this quote from you with respect to bridging the national divide and how to do it?
I think what I can reflect on here, thinking about the divide that we're looking at, is how can we approach each other's position from the place of curiosity? One of my favorite questions is help me understand. Help me understand. How do you see the world the way you see it? Also help me understand where do you get the information from that makes you see the world this way? Can I agree with the information that you are using, or can we look at various sources of information together? Can I get a gift of your curiosity to present some of the ways that inform my worldview. Yeah. So from this curiosity perspective, from getting to the kind of practical nitty-gritty of it, what it is that we are talking about, helps in figuring out work-related conflicts, and it helps in figuring out political differences and all sorts of other differences. Where I think our political differences are the hardest one to, or one of the hardest ones to figure out today, is they go to the level of belief, yeah? And what we know from, for example, neuroscience research today is that people are more and more processing any information that they get first through their beliefs, and they come up with their opinion, than just taking facts as they are. Yeah. So you and I can be looking at exactly the same set of numbers, but if we have strongly different beliefs, we will give a very different interpretation to them, which is kind of normal. This is how we operate. The question is, can we then engage in figuring out why you see it this way and why I see it that way, and inform each other? And what we also know is that under stress, everybody pulls in their own kind of default direction. And there's been so much stress, and there've been so much really kind of pressure on all of us, especially in this last year with pandemic added to the picture. That there is much less conversation than there is a knee-jerking, so to speak. And so hopefully we will all start cooling down and having some important conversations. And I also think it's important not to cool down too quickly, because if cooling down means let's assume that nothing happened and we just move forward as if nothing happened, we will have all kinds of things happening again and again and again. So we need to figure things out. We need to sort things out and understand what happened to us as a nation, to us as newcomers to this nation, and then kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Much appreciated. So bridging this divide, which is very deep, is the job cut out for us interculturalists, for women at large, and for many people who care. Well, I'm confident, Tatiana, that your input will come in handy for our viewers, because yours is a story of serious intercultural success, whose work contributes really to the beauty of the world in a unique way. So let me thank you for being a role model. Let's connect. First of all, I would love to thank all our viewers for watching The Bridge for Women Worldwide. Please subscribe to our channel. It's now 5,000 subscribers strong and counting. And to connect, you can use YouTube channel, my book website, fionasitkin.com, and also my email, fiona.sitkin@gmail.com. So if you send me a message, I may send you my book if shipping and handling is on you. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and now Tatiana and I are wishing you to stay well and healthy for years to come. I salute you. Bye-bye.